My name is Shayla Monroe. I'm 35 years old, and I run a luxury wedding planning business right here in Chicago, Illinois. And I need to tell you about the night that was supposed to be the most beautiful night of my life, the night I married the man I thought I knew, the man I thought would protect me forever. Instead, it became the night I watched my brand new husband try to end my life at our own wedding reception. At my wedding, I caught my husband slipping something into my champagne glass when he thought nobody was watching. I switched our glasses without him knowing. When he raised that toast and drank from what he thought was my glass, I leaned close and whispered 5 words that made his whole face drain of color. What I discovered that night exposed a plan so twisted, so ruthless, so calculated that even now 2 years later I still bolt awake at a.m. with my heart hammering in my chest. Remembering the exact moment I realized the man standing beside me in that sharp black tux, the man who'd just vowed to love and honor me till death do us part, had already picked out the exact day I'd die. And he'd planned every detail, right down to the second. Before I keep going, I need you to do something real quick. Hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. Seriously, I mean it. Drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from, because I need to know I'm not alone in this. I need to know there are people out there who get what it's like when your whole world gets flipped upside down in one heartbeat. Because what happened next shattered everything I thought I understood about love, trust, and the man I'd given 4 years of my life to. Let me rewind to the beginning. 'Cause you've got to understand who I was before that day. I met Brandon Mitchell 4 years before our wedding. I was 31, he was 33, and we crossed paths at a fundraiser gala I'd organized for a Fortune 500 tech firm in downtown Chicago. He was there representing his insurance company, looking fine as hell in this charcoal gray suit, flashing this smile that could light up Navy Pier. We talked all night long. He told me about his job selling insurance policies, his plans to open his own agency one day, how he'd grown up on the South Side and hustled his way into corporate America. He seemed driven, ambitious, solid. He asked about my business, actually paid attention. When I broke down the stress of coordinating million-dollar events, remembered little things I mentioned in passing. He seemed damn near perfect. We dated for 2 years before he proposed. And I'm talking real dating dinner reservations where we'd talk for hours, weekend getaways to Michigan, meeting each other's families. His mama was warm and welcoming, gave me the biggest hug when we first met and told me she was grateful Brandon found someone who made him smile like that. My parents loved him. My dad, who never trusts anybody, pulled me aside after that first family dinner and said, "Shay, I think you got a good one here." My younger sister, Imani, who'd side-eyed every man I ever brought home, actually invited Brandon to family game night. Everybody loved Brandon. I loved Brandon. Or at least I loved who I thought he was. He proposed at Millennium Park on a perfect summer evening, got down on one knee right by Cloud Gate with a vintage diamond ring he said belonged to his grandmother. I said yes before he even finished asking. I was over the moon, floating, completely and stupidly happy. We set the date for 18 months out because I wanted everything flawless. And as a wedding planner, I had very specific standards for what flawless meant. I spent those 18 months designing every single detail. The venue, this stunning historic mansion on the North Shore with gardens that look straight out of a dream. The flowers, white orchids and garden roses, thousands of them. The catering, a 6-course menu from Chicago's most exclusive chef. The dress, Lord, my dress. I spent 6 months hunting down the perfect gown. Nina Tornai, fitted lace with a 15-foot train that needed 4 people to carry. I looked like royalty. I felt like royalty. I had no damn clue. I was actually planning my own funeral. The morning of the wedding, I woke up at a.m. in the bridal suite at the venue. My bridesmaids were already posted up, my best friend Kendra, my cousin Simone, my sorority sister Tasha. We popped bottles of champagne, did our hair and makeup while blasting Bianca. The hairstylist took 3 hours perfecting my sleek updo with fresh white roses woven throughout. The makeup artist beat my face to perfection, highlight on point, lashes for days. I remember staring at myself in that mirror, still in my robe, with my hair laid and my face done, thinking, this is it. This is what I've been working toward my whole life. I was glowing. I was radiant. I was so incredibly blind. The ceremony kicked off at p.m. I walked down that aisle on my daddy's arm, and Brandon was standing at the altar crying actual tears. Real tears streaming down his face. Or at least that's what I believed they were. Now I know they were probably tears of guilt. Or maybe just an Academy Award level performance. The ceremony was flawless, picture perfect. We exchanged our vows, the traditional ones where he promised to love and honor me, in sickness and health, for richer or poorer, till death do us part. He looked me dead in the eyes when he said those words. His voice was steady, confident. I wonder now if he was thinking about that little vial in his jacket pocket the whole time. If he was mentally counting down the hours until I'd be gone and he'd be free. The reception started at 6 p.m. cocktail hour out in the gardens while the staff transformed the ceremony space into the reception hall. I was on cloud nine, greeting guests, taking what felt like 1,000 photos with family and friends. Everyone kept saying how stunning I looked, how perfect everything was, how blessed Brandon and I were to find each other. I believed every word. God, I believed it all. We made our grand entrance into the reception at p.m. Our first dance was to Adorn by Miguel. Brandon held me tight and whispered that he loved me more than life itself. In that moment, I genuinely believed I was the luckiest woman breathing. Dinner was served. People were raving about the short ribs and truffle mac. Everything was flowing exactly like I'd planned, my plan. But Brandon had his own plan running in the background, and I didn't know a single thing about it. It was around 8:30 p.m. when everything changed. We'd wrapped up dinner, and it was almost time for the toasts. On my wedding timeline, the one I'd been perfecting for months, toasts were scheduled for 8:45 p.m. My maid of honor Kendra would go first, then Brandon's best man Marcus. Then Brandon would give his toast, thanking everyone for coming. I'd insisted on top shelf champagne for the toasts, Mo and Chandon, the good stuff. The catering team had set up a special table near the head table with champagne flutes already poured, arranged perfectly on silver trays. My glass and Brandon's glass were front and center, slightly bigger than the rest, with our names engraved on little gold tags underneath. I stepped away from the head table right before toasts were about to start. I needed to touch up my lipstick, and one of my bridesmaids wanted to fix a pin that was slipping in my hair. I headed to the bridal suite just off the main hall, maybe a 3-minute walk. Kendra rolled with me, and we were cracking up about something my uncle said during dinner. We were in the suite for maybe 5 minutes tops. Fixed my lips, secured my hair, took a few deep breaths because the emotion of the day was starting to hit me. Kendra hugged me tight and said, "Girl, you did it. You married a good man and threw the wedding of the damn century." I hugged her back and said, "I know. I'm so happy I could cry." We walked back toward the reception hall together, but Kendra got stopped by someone asking about the restrooms. I kept moving, heading back to the head table, and that's when I saw him, Brandon, standing at the champagne table, alone, completely alone, which was strange as hell, because there were 150 people at this wedding. Someone was always around. But right then, the photographer was herding people outside for sunset shots. The DJ was on break, and the catering staff was back in the kitchen prepping dessert. Brandon was standing at that champagne table by himself, holding something small in his hand, something tiny, a little glass vial maybe the size of my pinky finger. I froze. I was maybe 20 feet away, half hidden behind one of those massive floral arrangements we'd placed around the room. He didn't see me. He was laser focused on what he was doing. I watched him glance around nervously, checking to make sure nobody was looking. Then he unscrewed that little vial, leaned over the champagne table, and very deliberately, very carefully, poured whatever was inside into one specific glass, my glass. The one with my name engraved on that little gold tag. He shook out every last drop. Then he slid the vial back into his jacket pocket, smoothed down his tux, and stepped back with this look on his face I'd never seen before. Satisfaction. Cold, calculated satisfaction. My brain couldn't process it. This was my husband. We'd been married for 4.5 hours. We'd just danced together, laughed together, smiled for 1,000 pictures together. And he was what? Spiking my drink? Why the hell would he do that? What was in that vial? My first thought, and I'm embarrassed to admit this, wasn't that he was trying to hurt me. My first thought was maybe it was some kind of surprise, like a flavor enhancer or something romantic. Maybe rose water, maybe vanilla extract, something sweet. But even as I tried to rationalize it, every survival instinct in my body was screaming that something was dead wrong. Because if it was innocent, if it was romantic, why'd he look around like he was scared of getting caught? Why'd he hide the vial so fast? Why didn't he just tell me about it? We'd been together for years. If he wanted to do something special with my champagne, he would have made it a moment, not snuck around like a damn criminal. My heart was pounding so loud I could hear it in my skull. My hands started shaking. I felt ice cold despite the June heat and the packed room. Every alarm bell in my body was going off, screaming at me not to drink whatever was in that glass, but I still didn't fully understand why. I still couldn't wrap my head around the idea that my Brandon, the man who'd cried at our vows, would actually try to hurt me. It didn't compute. Nothing made sense, but I knew, deep in my gut, in that primal part of the brain that's kept humans alive for millennia, that I absolutely could not drink from that glass. I made a split-second decision. I walked toward the table, forcing a smile on my face, forcing my hands to steady. Brandon was standing a few feet away now, talking to his best man, Marcus. I walked up behind him and wrapped my arms around his waist, pressed my face against his back like I was just being affectionate, just playing the role of the loving bride. "Hey, handsome," I said, keeping my voice light. "Almost time for toast." He jumped a little when I touched him, then relaxed. "Hey baby," he said, turning around to kiss my forehead. "Yeah, just about. You ready?" I smiled up at him, and I swear my face felt like it was about to crack from the effort. "So ready," I said. "Let me grab our champagne real quick." I turned to the table, picked up both glasses, his in my left hand, mine in my right. I handed him what had been my glass, the one with my name tag, the one he'd just poisoned. "Here you go, babe," I said, pressing it into his hand. Then I casually switched the name tags while his attention was on the glass, sliding them so they matched up with the right positions again. I kept what had been his glass for myself. He didn't notice. He was too focused on the glass in his hand, and I saw something flicker across his face, confusion, maybe concern, but he didn't say anything. He just stood there holding it, staring at it like something was off. People started gathering for the toasts. Kendra went first, giving this beautiful speech about our friendship and how thrilled she was to see me marry someone who loved me so deeply. Brandon's best man Marcus went next, cracking jokes about their college days and making the whole room laugh the entire time. I stood there gripping my champagne glass, the safe one, the one that had been Brandon's, so tight my knuckles went pale. I was smiling, but I couldn't feel my face. I felt like I was floating outside my body, watching this whole scene unfold like a movie. Then it was Brandon's turn. He stepped forward, raised his glass, and started talking. "I want to thank everyone for being here today to celebrate with me and my beautiful wife," he said. His voice, smooth and warm and full of what sounded like love. "Fake love, lies, nothing but lies. Shayla, you're the smartest, most incredible woman I've ever met. You're talented, gorgeous, and somehow you said yes to me." Everyone laughed. I wanted to scream. "I promise to love you, support you, and protect you every single day for the rest of our lives. To my wife." He raised his glass high. Everyone else raised theirs. I raised mine, but my arm felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. "To the happy couple." Everyone shouted, and then everyone drank. Brandon drank. He took a long, deep gulp from his champagne, nearly draining it in one go. I took the smallest sip possible, barely letting the champagne touch my lips. I was watching Brandon's face the whole time, watching over the rim of my glass, waiting for what? I didn't know, but something, anything, some confirmation that what I'd seen was real. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Brandon lowered his glass, smiled at the crowd. People clapped and cheered. Then I saw it. The smile faltered. His eyebrows pulled together like he was confused. He blinked rapidly, like he was trying to clear his vision. I stepped closer, right up next to him, close enough that nobody else could hear. I leaned in like I was about to kiss his cheek, playing the role of the affectionate newlywed. My lips were right by his ear. "Wrong glass, baby," I whispered. "You just drank what you meant for me." I pulled back and looked at his face. I will never, ever forget what I saw there. First, confusion, like he didn't understand what I'd said. Then his eyes went wide as it clicked. Then terror. Pure, raw, primal terror. His face went ghost white. Not pale white, like every drop of blood drained straight out of his head. His mouth dropped open like he was trying to speak, but nothing came out. He stared down at the champagne glass in his hand like it was a loaded gun. Then he looked at me, and in his eyes, I saw the whole truth laid bare. Guilt, panic, realization. He knew that I knew, and he knew what was about to happen to him. "Shayla," he managed to choke out. his voice thick and wrong. What did you? But he couldn't finish. His words were slurring, getting tangled. He swayed on his feet. I grabbed his arm like I was steadying him, playing the concerned wife. Brandon, honey, you okay? I said loud enough for people nearby to hear. You look pale. He tried to answer, but couldn't form words anymore. His eyes were unfocused. Sweat broke out across his forehead, his upper lip. His hand came up to his chest, and he made this awful sound, this horrible gasping wheeze like he couldn't pull in air. Brandon, I said again, louder. People were turning now, starting to notice. His mother rushed over. Brandon, what's wrong? She asked, voice sharp with worry. He tried to answer her, but what came out was just garbled nonsense. Then his knees buckled. I wasn't strong enough to catch him. He went down hard, collapsed right there on the reception floor in front of 150 guests. Someone screamed, maybe his mama, maybe one of my bridesmaids. Everything was happening fast and slow at the same time. People swarmed around him. Someone yelled to call 911. Brandon was on the ground, conscious but barely, his body jerking and twitching. His eyes were rolling back. Foam started forming at the corners of his mouth. It was horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. And I stood there watching, knowing I'd caused this, knowing that whatever he'd planned for me, he was getting instead. And the truly terrible part, I didn't feel guilty. Not even a little. I felt vindicated, powerful, like I'd just saved my own damn life. And if that meant watching him suffer, so be it. I pulled my phone out from the hidden pocket in my wedding dress. My hands were steady, surprisingly steady, as I dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? The operator answered. My husband's been poisoned, I said, clear and loud. Not sick, not drunk, poisoned. I said it specifically, deliberately, because I wanted it on the record. We're at our wedding reception at the Ashford Estate on Lakeshore Drive. He just drank something and collapsed. He's having some kind of reaction. We need paramedics immediately. I gave them the address, answered questions about his symptoms. The whole time, Brandon was on the floor, barely conscious, making these terrible choking sounds. His best man, Marcus, was trying to help, loosening his tie, turning him on his side. Brandon's mother was crying, screaming at someone to do something. My mama had her arms around me, asking what happened, but I couldn't answer her yet. I couldn't take my eyes off Brandon. The paramedics showed up maybe 7 minutes later, but it felt like forever. They rushed in with their equipment, checking his vitals, asking rapid-fire questions. What did he drink? What did he eat? Does he have allergies? Any medical conditions? I answered what I could. Then I did something I'd been planning since the second I saw him pour that vial into my champagne. I reached into Brandon's tuxedo jacket pocket while everyone was distracted by the paramedics working on him. I found the vial, empty now, but still there, with residue coating the inside. I pulled it out and held it up. I think this is what he used, I said to the police officer who'd arrived with the paramedics. The officer took the vial from me, careful to hold it by the edges. Where did you find this, ma'am? In my husband's jacket pocket, I said. I saw him pour something into my champagne glass right before the toasts. I switched our glasses. He drank from mine instead. The officer's whole expression shifted, sharpened. He called over his partner. They started asking me more detailed questions while the paramedics loaded Brandon onto a stretcher. What exactly did I see? When did I see it? Why did I switch the glasses? I told them everything, my voice eerily calm, considering I was standing there in my wedding gown, watching my brand new husband get wheeled out on a gurney with an oxygen mask strapped to his face. The reception had descended into complete chaos. Guests were crying, confused, demanding answers. The venue manager looked like she was about to have a breakdown. My bridesmaids were surrounding me, trying to understand what the hell was happening. My daddy was yelling at someone I couldn't tell who. Brandon's parents were following the stretcher to the ambulance, his mama sobbing hysterically, and I was just standing in the center of it all, still clutching my champagne glass, still wearing my perfect dress, still looking like a princess who'd just outsmarted a murder attempt at her own wedding. The police officer asked if I'd come down to the station to give a formal statement. I said yes, but I needed to change first. I couldn't do this in my wedding dress anymore. I went back to the bridal suite with Kendra. She helped me out of the Nina Tornai gown, unzipping the back, unhooking the bustle, lifting the train over my head. I stood there in my strapless bra and Spanx, staring at myself in the mirror. My makeup was still flawless. My hair was still perfect. But I wasn't the same person who'd gotten dressed in this room 6 hours ago. That Shayla was gone. That trusting, naive, happy Shayla was dead. This new Shayla staring back at me was harder, colder, a survivor. I threw on jeans and a Northwestern hoodie, pulled my hair into a ponytail. Kendra kept asking what happened, what was going on, but I couldn't explain it yet. I couldn't find words. All I could say was, he tried to hurt me. I stopped him. She didn't understand. How could she? I barely understood it myself. We went back to the reception hall. The police officer was waiting. Mrs. Mitchell, he said, and I almost corrected him, almost said I wasn't Mrs. Mitchell anymore. Couldn't be after what just happened, but I didn't. I just nodded. We need you to come to the station. Ma'am, I need to inform you that this is now a criminal investigation. Don't leave the city. We'll have extensive questions for you and for Mr. Mitchell. I rode to the police station in my daddy's car. My mama sat in the back with me, holding my hand, not saying anything, because what was there to say? At the station, they put me in an interview room, not a cell, just a room with a table and chairs and a recording device. A detective came in. Detective Harper, a black woman, maybe in her late 40s, with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense vibe. She asked me to tell her everything from the start. So I did. I told her about seeing Brandon with the vial, switching the glasses, watching him drink it and collapse. I told her about finding the vial in his pocket. She listened to everything, taking notes, recording it all. Mrs. Mitchell, she said when I finished, I need to ask you something directly. Did you have any reason to believe your husband wanted to harm you before tonight? I thought about it, really thought. Had there been signs? Red flags I'd ignored? No, I said finally. I thought everything was perfect. I thought he loved me. I thought we were starting our life together. My voice cracked on that last part. Detective Harper slid a tissue box across the table. We're going to keep that vial as evidence. And we'll need the champagne glass you were holding. The paramedics took Mr. Mitchell to Northwestern Memorial. They're pumping his stomach and running toxicology tests. We'll know soon what was in that vial. But Mrs. Mitchell, Shayla, I want you to understand something. If what you're telling me is accurate, if your husband deliberately tried to poison you, you just saved your own life tonight. And you did it with incredible presence of mind. They released me around midnight. My parents took me back to their house in Hyde Park. I couldn't go back to the condo Brandon and I shared in River North. I couldn't even think about that place. My mama put me in my old childhood bedroom. I sat on the bed, still in my jeans and hoodie, staring at nothing. I didn't cry, couldn't cry. I was just numb. My wedding day, the day that was supposed to be the start of forever, had turned into a nightmare. I couldn't wake up. From somewhere across the city, Brandon was in a hospital bed, having his stomach pumped, being treated for the same poison he'd meant for me. And I felt nothing. No sympathy, no regret, nothing except this cold, hard certainty that I'd done exactly what I needed to do to survive. The next morning, Detective Harper called. Brandon had survived the night. The toxicology report came back. The vial contained rohypnol, the date rape drug mixed with a powerful sedative. The dose was massive, dangerously high. If I'd drunk it, I would have lost consciousness within minutes. And given my weight and the timing, we'd eaten dinner around 6:30. And it was 8:45 when the toast happened. There was a serious chance I would have stopped breathing in my sleep. The medical examiner's preliminary assessment, if I'd consumed that dose, I likely would have died. Respiratory failure, most likely. Or aspiration, if I'd vomited while unconscious. Either way, I'd probably be dead. Shayla, Detective Harper said, and I could hear something new in her voice. Anger, disgust. Your husband tried to murder you on your wedding night. This wasn't a prank or a mistake. This was attempted murder. We've arrested him. He's in custody, and we're charging him with attempted first-degree murder. I sat down on my parents' couch, my legs giving out. Attempted murder. My husband, the man I'd married less than 24 hours ago, had tried to kill me. There's more, Detective Harper continued. We confiscated Mr. Mitchell's phone as evidence. Shayla, you need to brace yourself. There are text messages on that phone that are going to be extremely difficult for you to see. They sent a victim advocate to my parents' house that afternoon. She sat with me while Detective Harper showed me printouts of Brandon's texts. Messages between Brandon and a woman named Nicole Hayes, a woman who worked at his insurance firm. A woman I'd never heard of. Messages going back 8 months. Can't wait till she's gone and we can finally be together. That was from Brandon. Dated 7 weeks before the wedding. Are you sure this plan will work? What if someone figures it out? That was Nicole. Nobody's gonna figure it out. She'll go to sleep and never wake up. They'll think it was natural causes or something. Heart issue, maybe. And then I'll have the insurance payout and we can start our life. Brandon again, planning my death. With his side piece. Like they were planning a goddamn vacation. There were hundreds of messages. Maybe thousands. They'd been together for over a year. While Brandon was coming home to me every night, kissing me, making love to me, planning our wedding with me, he was texting Nicole, telling her he loved her, making plans for their future. A future that required me to be dead. The messages laid out everything. Brandon had taken out a life insurance policy on me 7 months before the wedding. $850,000. With him as the sole beneficiary. I hadn't known about it. He'd forged my signature on the paperwork. The insurance company was already investigating, and the reason he needed that money so desperately, gambling debts. Brandon had been betting on sports online, losing massive amounts. He owed over $250,000 to various bookies and loan sharks. He was drowning in debt, and his solution was to murder me and collect the insurance. Nicole was arrested that same day. Turns out she'd been at the wedding. She'd come as the +1 of Brandon's coworker. Not her real connection, just a cover so she could be there. So she could watch. The police found messages from the night of the wedding. Is it done? Did she drink it? Nicole had texted Brandon at 8:47 p.m. right around toast time. Brandon never answered that text. By then, he was on the ground, convulsing, experiencing firsthand what he'd planned for me. Nicole bolted from the wedding right after the ambulance came. Literally ran. But the cops tracked her down at her apartment in Streeterville. She tried to deny everything at first, but the text messages didn't lie. She was charged as an accessory to attempted murder. Conspiracy to commit murder. The story hit the news within 48 hours. Bride saves her own life at wedding reception was the headline everywhere. My phone wouldn't stop ringing, reporters asking for interviews. I ignored all of them. I couldn't talk about it. I was barely keeping it together as it was. I'd swing between feeling absolutely nothing, just numb and empty, and then suddenly getting hit with waves of rage so intense I thought I'd explode. How dare he? How fucking dare he? I'd loved him, trusted him completely, given him 4 years of my life, and the whole time, he was planning to murder me, using me, lying to me, sleeping next to me at night, knowing he was going to kill me. What kind of psychopath does that? My family was wrecked. My mama couldn't stop crying. My daddy kept talking about ways to get to Brandon in jail. I actually had to make him swear he wouldn't do anything that'd land him in prison too. My sister Imani kept saying she'd always sensed something off about Brandon, which wasn't true. Imani had loved him, but I understood the need to rewrite history, to find the warning signs we'd all missed, because there had to have been signs, right? You don't spend 4 years with someone capable of murder without seeing something, but I genuinely couldn't think of any. Brandon had been a model boyfriend, attentive, romantic, supportive, or at least that's what I'd believed. Now I'd never know what was real and what was an act. The wedding venue was incredible. About everything. They refunded every single penny. I'd paid over $50,000. They also donated $15,000 to a domestic violence organization in my name. The caterer refunded their fee. The florist, the photographer, the DJ, everyone refunded their money. Nobody even asked. They were all so horrified by what happened. They just wanted to help somehow. The dress boutique even offered to take back my Nina Tornai gown and refund me in full. But I couldn't go get it. That dress was still at my parents' house, hanging in my old closet in the garment bag. I couldn't look at it, couldn't touch it. It represented everything I'd lost. Brandon's arraignment was a week after the wedding. I went to the courthouse with Detective Harper and the victim advocate. I needed to see him. Had to see him. They brought him in wearing orange jail scrubs, hands cuffed. He looked terrible, gaunt, pale, dark circles like bruises under his eyes. When he spotted me in the gallery, his face just crumpled. He started crying, full-on sobbing, tears streaming down his face. His public defender, some kid who looked fresh out of law school, tried to get him to pull it together. But Brandon just kept staring at me, crying. I stared right back. No tears, no emotion, just cold satisfaction that he was suffering a fraction of what I was. The judge read the charges: attempted murder in the first degree, conspiracy to commit murder, insurance fraud, forgery. The prosecutor asked for bail to be denied, argued Brandon was a flight risk and a danger to me. Brandon's lawyer countered that his client had no record, had community ties, deserved bail. The judge cut him off. Mr. Mitchell, she said, looking at Brandon with pure disgust, you are accused of attempting to murder your wife on your wedding night. You allegedly drugged her champagne with a lethal dose of sedatives. If these allegations are proven true, you represent a clear and present danger to Mrs. Mitchell. Bail is denied. You will remain in custody pending trial. Brandon made this broken, awful sound. His lawyer had to physically hold him up. After the arraignment, the prosecutor James Chen, an aide who specialized in attempted murder, met with me. He was maybe 45, sharp, focused. Shayla, he said, I'm going to be straight with you. We have an airtight case. The text messages, the insurance fraud, the toxicology report, your testimony, we have everything we need to prove attempted first-degree murder. But I need to prepare you. This trial won't happen for at least 6 months, maybe longer. And when it does, you'll have to testify. You'll have to sit in that courtroom and relive the worst night of your life while Brandon watches. Can you handle that? I looked him dead in the eye. Yes, I said. I need to do that. I want him to hear me tell the world exactly what he tried to do. I want everyone to know who he really is. Mr. Chen nodded. Good, that's what I needed to hear. We're going to get you justice, Shayla. I promise you that. The next few months were hell. I had to move out of the condo Brandon and I had shared in River North. Couldn't stay there. Couldn't be surrounded by our things, our memories, our life that turned out to be a lie. My parents helped me pack up my stuff. We donated or trashed everything that was Brandon's. I moved into a small one-bedroom in Wicker Park. Started completely over with IKEA furniture and Target dishes. I tried going back to work, but I couldn't focus. Every time I tried to plan an event, I'd think about my own wedding. About how I'd spent 18 months creating the perfect day, only to have it end with my husband trying to kill me. I took a leave of absence. My business partner was understanding, told me to take whatever time I needed. I started therapy. Dr. Cassandra Williams, a Black woman in her 50s who specialized in trauma. Twice a week at first, then weekly as I stabilized. She helped me process what happened, helped me understand it wasn't my fault, that I couldn't have known, that Brandon's actions were about him, not me. But even with therapy, I was barely functional. I had nightmares where I drank the poisoned champagne and woke up gasping, unable to breathe. Panic attacks in grocery stores, convinced everyone around me was plotting to hurt me. I stopped trusting anyone, stopped going out, stopped seeing friends. I was just existing, not living. The preliminary hearings dragged on. More evidence surfaced. The cops tracked down the dealer who sold Brandon the Rohypnol, some guy he'd met through a darknet forum. That guy got arrested too, charged with distribution. The insurance company confirmed Brandon had forged my signature and filed their own charges. Brandon's bank records showed he'd been hemorrhaging money on sports betting for over 2 years, thousands every month, racking up insane debt. His parents were devastated. His mama actually called me to apologize, sobbing, saying she had no idea that she'd raised him better. I appreciated it, but I couldn't talk to her. She was his mother. She loved him. I couldn't be around that. Then there was Nicole. She cut a deal with the prosecutors, agreed to testify against Brandon in exchange for a lighter sentence. 15 years instead of 25, if she cooperated fully. So she gave them everything. Told them how the affair started, how Brandon complained about being trapped with me, how he needed money, how he wanted out, how he came up with the plan to kill me and make it look natural, how she helped him research drugs, dosages, timing, how they'd rehearsed it. She'd been in on it from the start. They'd planned my murder together like some sick team project. The trial finally started in March, 9 months after my wedding day. The courthouse was absolutely packed. Reporters, spectators, people who'd been following the case online. This story had blown up nationally. Chicago bride outsmarts murderous groom was how the headlines described it. I hated being famous for this. Hated that the worst moment of my entire life was entertainment for strangers. But I also understood why it mattered. Other women needed to see what Brandon tried to do. needed to know that even men who seem perfect can be monsters wearing masks. I had to testify on day 2 of the trial. I wore a navy pantsuit, professional, conservative, nothing flashy. I wanted that jury to see me as credible, trustworthy, someone telling the truth. I took the stand, placed my hand on that Bible, swore to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Then I told my story. The prosecutor, Mr. Chen, walked me through everything. How Brandon and I met, our relationship, the engagement, planning the wedding, the day itself, and then that moment seeing Brandon pour something into my champagne, the decision to switch glasses, watching him drink it, whispering in his ear, his collapse, all of it. Shayla, Mr. Chen asked, when you saw your husband pour that substance into your champagne, what went through your mind? I looked directly at the jury. I thought something is seriously wrong here. I need to protect myself. And why did you switch the glasses instead of just not drinking from yours? Because I needed to know what was in that glass. I needed proof. If I just didn't drink it, I'd never know for sure what he'd done or why. But if he drank it, if he had the reaction instead of me, then I'd know. Then everyone would know. Were you trying to harm your husband when you switched those glasses? No, I was trying to save my own life. Brandon's defense attorney tried to shake my testimony on cross-examination. Tried to suggest maybe I'd misunderstood what I saw. That maybe Brandon was putting something innocent in the glass. That maybe I switched them because I was paranoid or having cold feet about the marriage. But I didn't budge. I answered every question calmly, clearly. I know what I saw, I said. Your client tried to murder me. And because I switched those glasses, I'm alive and he's sitting at that table. I pointed right at Brandon. He was crying again, shaking his head like he was the victim. Like any of this was unfair to him. The toxicology expert testified about what was in that vial, the lethal combination of rohypnol and sedatives. The detective testified about the text messages. Nicole took the stand and told the jury everything, the affair, the plan, helping Brandon research methods. Knowing he was going to do it at the wedding, Brandon's gambling debts were laid out in painful detail. Over $250,000 owed to bookies, loan sharks, people threatening violence if he didn't pay up. The insurance agent testified about the forged policy. The $850,000 payout Brandon would have gotten if I'd died. Every single piece of evidence pointed to one inescapable conclusion. Brandon Mitchell had planned and attempted to murder his wife for money so he could be with his mistress. Brandon's defense was pathetic. His lawyer tried arguing that Brandon had been under extreme stress, wasn't thinking clearly, made a terrible mistake, but didn't actually intend to kill me. The jury wasn't buying it. How do you accidentally put a lethal dose of drugs in someone's champagne? How do you accidentally forge insurance documents? How do you accidentally text your side piece about planning your wife's death? The prosecution destroyed that defense in closing arguments. Mr. Chen held up a photo of me in my wedding dress, beaming with happiness. This is Shayla Monroe on what should have been the best day of her life, he said. She trusted Brandon Mitchell completely. She loved him. She married him. And that very night, he tried to take everything from her. Her life, her future, her dreams, all for money, for greed, for a woman he'd been cheating with. But Shayla Monroe isn't a victim. She's a survivor. She saw danger coming, and she acted. She saved her own life. And now it's time for justice. The jury deliberated for 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours while I sat in the hallway with my family, stomach in knots, wondering if they'd actually convict him, or if somehow his lawyer had created enough doubt. But when they came back, the verdict was crystal clear. Guilty on all charges. Attempted murder in the first degree. Conspiracy to commit murder. Insurance fraud. Forgery. Brandon literally collapsed when he heard it. Fell right out of his chair, wailing. The bailiffs had to pick him up and drag him out of the courtroom. His parents were sobbing. His mama was screaming that her baby wasn't a killer, that this wasn't right, but it was right. It was justice. The sentencing hearing came a month later. I gave a victim impact statement. I'd written it out, practiced it, but standing there in front of the judge and Brandon and everyone, the words came from somewhere deeper. Your Honor, I said. Brandon Mitchell stole something from me that I can never get back. He stole my ability to trust, to love without fear, to believe people are who they say they are. I spent 4 years with a man I thought I knew inside and out. Turns out I didn't know him at all. He was willing to murder me, to watch me die, to let my family grieve me, to fool everyone into thinking I died naturally. Also, he could collect money and be with another woman. That level of evil is beyond anything I can comprehend. But here's what he didn't count on: I'm stronger than he ever gave me credit for. I trusted my gut. I saved myself. And now I'm going to rebuild my life without him. Without fear. Without constantly looking over my shoulder, wondering if the next person I love is planning to hurt me. Brandon Mitchell tried to end my story, but all he did was start a new chapter. One where I'm the hero, not the victim. The judge sentenced Brandon to 30 years without possibility of parole. He'd be in prison until he was 63. Nicole got her 15 years as part of her plea deal. She'd be out in her late 40s if she kept her nose clean. I felt like I could finally breathe when I heard those sentences. 30 years. He'd taken my ability to trust, my peace of mind, my wedding day, my marriage, my faith in love. And now I was taking 30 years of his freedom. It felt right. It felt like balance. That was 2 years ago. 2 years since my wedding day. 2 years since I switched those champagne glasses and saved my own damn life. I'm 37 now. And I'm okay. Better than okay, actually. I'm thriving. I started my own company about 8 months after the trial ended. Monroe Events, specializing in intimate, authentic celebrations. I couldn't go back to my old business. Too many memories. Too many people who knew. So I started fresh. I don't do big weddings anymore. Can't. But I do. Milestone birthdays, anniversary parties, corporate events, celebrations that feel joyful without carrying the weight of what happened to me. I'm still seeing Dr. Williams. Probably always will be. PTSD doesn't just disappear. I have rough days where I can't get out of bed. Days where I'm convinced everyone around me is hiding something. Days where I see Brandon's face in every man who walks past me on Michigan Avenue. But I also have good days. More good days than bad. Now, days where I laugh with friends, where I'm proud of my business, where I genuinely enjoy being alive, and I'm dating again. That's been the hardest part, honestly, learning to trust someone new. I met someone about 7 months ago. His name is Marcus. He teaches high school history on the South Side. He's kind, patient, steady. He knows everything that happened. I told him on our third date because I needed him to understand why I am the way I am. Why? I ask a million questions. Why? I need to know where he is. Why? I sometimes shut down completely because something triggered a flashback. He didn't run. He listened, held my hand, and said, I'm not him. I won't hurt you. And I'll wait as long as it takes for you to believe that. We're taking it slow. Glacially slow. But it feels safe. It feels real. My family's been everything through this. My parents, my sister, my cousins, they surrounded me with love when I needed it most. They never made me feel broken or weak. They reminded me every single day that I'm strong, that I survived, that I have a future worth living. Kendra's still my ride or die. Just like she was in that bridal suite 2 years ago. She checks on me constantly, probably more than necessary, but I'm grateful for it. I think about that day sometimes. My wedding day. Not just the poisoning though, yeah. That too, but the morning. Getting my hair done, laughing with my girls, feeling like royalty. I mourn that version of myself sometimes. The Shayla who believed in fairy tales, who trusted completely, who thought the world was safe. She died that day, right along with my marriage. But maybe that's okay. Maybe that Shayla needed to die so this Shayla could exist. This Shayla who knows survival is a choice. Who knows that trusting your instincts can save your life. Who knows she doesn't need anyone to rescue her, because she can rescue herself. I need you to understand something. I'm not sharing this story because I want sympathy. I'm sharing it because I want you to learn from it. Trust your instincts. Always. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't rationalize it away. Don't make excuses for people who give you bad vibes. Don't ignore that little voice in your head trying to protect you. That voice saved my life. I saw Brandon pour something in my champagne, and every logical part of my brain tried to explain it away. He wouldn't hurt me. He loves me. I'm just being paranoid. But that primal, instinctual part of me knew better. And I listened. I listened, and I'm alive because of it. Watch for warning signs. Last-minute insurance policies. Secretive behavior. Financial desperation. Someone who isolates you from friends and family. Someone who makes you doubt your own perceptions. Someone who lies about small things because they're practicing for the big lies. I missed those signs with Brandon. Or maybe they weren't there until the end. I don't know. But I know if I'd seen them, if I'd been paying attention, maybe I would have left before it escalated. And here's the most critical thing: if you're in danger, act first and worry about explanations later. I didn't wait to understand why Brandon was poisoning me. I didn't stop for a conversation or give him a chance to explain. I protected myself. I switched those glasses and saved my own life. You don't owe anyone your safety. You don't owe anyone your life. If someone's trying to hurt you, you have every right to stop them by whatever means necessary. Don't let guilt or love or confusion freeze you. Act. Protect yourself. Survive. I survived. Brandon Mitchell. I survived his lies, his betrayal, his attempt to murder me. And not only did I survive, I made sure he faced consequences for what he tried to do. He's locked up where he belongs. And I'm out here living my life, building my business, dating again, learning to trust again, healing. That's the real victory, isn't it? Not just that he's in prison, but that I'm free. Free from him. Free from fear. Free to become whoever I want to be. He tried to end my story that night at our wedding reception. But all he did was flip to a new chapter. A chapter where I'm the hero, not the victim. So if this story hit home for you, I hope you'll share it. Maybe it'll save someone's life the way my instincts saved mine. Hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel for more stories of survival and justice. And drop a comment below. I want to hear from you. Have you ever trusted your gut in a dangerous moment? Have you ever been in a situation where something felt off and you acted on it? Tell me your stories. Let's build a community of survivors who refuse to be victims. Remember this: you're stronger than you know. You're braver than you think. You're more powerful than anyone who tries to hurt you. Trust yourself. Protect yourself. And if someone tries to take you down, take them down first. Legally, of course. Always legally. But take them down. Show them you're not someone to mess with. Show them you won't go quietly. Show them you will fight, you will win, and you will survive. My name is Shayla Monroe. I'm 37 years old. I'm a business owner, a daughter, a sister, a friend, a survivor. And I'm here to tell you that no matter what you've been through, no matter who's tried to hurt you, you can make it to the other side. You can rebuild. You can heal. You can thrive. I'm living proof. Brandon Mitchell tried to kill me on my wedding night, but I'm still here, still standing, still fighting, and I'm not going anywhere. Stay safe out there, everyone. Trust your instincts, protect yourself, and never let anyone make you doubt your worth or your right to survive. You got this. I promise you, you got this.